Hey, welcome back to another G Light podcast. This is Pastor David Harrelson, and I have the distinct pleasure of having one of my good friends, Ben Sommers, joining me on the podcast today. What's up, my brother? You doing okay?
Man? What's up, mighty man of God?
I'm doing A-okay. Well, I told him we're just going to chop it up today. We're just going to talk about whatever God lays on our heart. He and I were talking the other day about getting him on the podcast, and it's been way too long. He's been very, very patient. So today we're just gonna see what happens today, man. So tell me a little bit about maybe what led up to you being here at God Shining Light Church, something like that. We'll get it started off that way.
Short-term explanation or long-term explanation?
Short term.
Okay. Alcoholism had me by the throat. I was being strangled by alcoholism. Couldn't really go anywhere without it. And my boss was taking notice of that. Hal Tompkins over at OK Building Solutions, a mighty man of God himself.
Okay.
He, I have a really good relationship with him. Ever since I got there, I feel like you should always be completely honest and transparent with your bosses.
Right.
So I just told him the truth. Like, yeah, I didn't show up a couple of days because I wasn't being responsible, and he's like, well, you need to get out of that situation that you're in. And I agreed with him, but I still didn't go anywhere else because I didn't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
And so being surrounded by that was really tough for somebody who has all the experiences I have. I was just being triggered every day to just kind of stay in that revolving wheel.
Right and left, yeah.
Yeah, and so I went to a hotel because I just got fed up with it. I went to a hotel, slept under a bridge over on North 49th West Avenue.
Man, that's real close to my house too. I know exactly where that bridge is.
Yeah. I stayed there for the night, and I realized, like, it is what it is. I had a serene peace though that night. Even though I was under that bridge, I really felt like God was putting it in my soul that this is just a transition period. This is just a time of change, and there's nothing wrong with change, and there's nothing wrong with spending a night under a bridge because you're tired of being in a home where you're feeling like you're being peer pressured into drinking every day.
Yeah.
I'd rather be under that bridge than with that roof over my head, but with those circumstances. So I called my boss the next day, and I was like, I ain't got nowhere to go. I went to a hotel, and he was like, well, let's just take you up to GSL and see what they can do with you. And,
so he knew about the church.
Yeah. He works with Jeremy Rhodes and Sequoia Hills Baptist down the way from Gardenwood. Yeah. So he knew Jeremy Rhodes, and I also got to meet Jeremy Rhodes through Alyssa and Jameson. I did a fall festival out there last year. And so that's how I got to meet Jeremy. And so my boss just said, let's take you up to GSL and see what they can say. He brought me into the office, and they told me about, what I'd need to have on hand, first month, deposit, And I just looked at my boss, and I was like, can you spot that?
Right.
And he was like, yeah, all I want you to do is graduate the program. You don't got to pay me back. I don't want none of that, because I was immediately like, hey, man, I'll give you $150 every check for 4 weeks,
right?
Or $300 for 2 weeks,
yeah.
Or, I'll pay you back. And he was like, I don't want you to pay me back. I just want you to graduate the program.
Cool.
And by the grace of God, Kendra said that they didn't have any openings and that I'd, have to just be on the waiting list. But then it was like a light bulb went off in her head, and she was like, wait, she was like, didn't old boy's roommate move out a couple days ago? She looked over at Barbara, and Barbara was like, they both kind of had like a light bulb moment.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, so we do have one bed if you have the money on hand right now, and so the rest is history. And I really feel like that was the favor of God. I really feel like that was the favor.
Definitely.
Where most people get a no, somehow you get a yes.
Right.
So
I hear you.
That's long story short. I was drinking night and day, breakfast, late night snack. I was really bound by it, and my boss saw that, and he just wanted better for me.
Some people can hear from the Holy Spirit, and they know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to support it. It sounds like that's the kind of man he is.
Yes, he is.
So that's awesome, man. Well, we're going to take a break for just a second, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to keep talking with Ben Sommers. So stand by. All right, this is Pastor David Harrell. So we're going to come back for part 2 of my interview with Ben Sommers. So here we go. Ben, tell me a little bit about, I've noticed that you have a lot of gifts and talents, man. I've seen you rap on stage. I've heard some of your music. You've sent me a lot of your music, and I love playing it because I really like it. Tell me a little bit about how you got into producing, writing the music that you produce for God.
Oh man, that is such a great question, and thank you for asking it. When I was 14, I went through a severe depression for a couple of weeks because of things that were happening between my mother and my stepfather at the time. Mm-hmm. And so, long story short, my mom had to vacate the premises for a couple of weeks for, reasons I don't really wish to dive into.
Sure.
But I felt abandonment, and that led to a depression. So I stopped going to school, just kind of stayed at the house.
Right.
Didn't come out of the front door. And my friend Curtis Reed came over one day because he hadn't seen me in a few days. And I'm always outside,
right,
going to play basketball or.
That's a good friend right there. When somebody disappears and you don't see them for a while, man, you got to go check up on them right away.
Yeah. So Curtis came over, and he was a year and a half younger than me. I think I was 15 and he was like 13 and a half, and he was in like 8th grade and I was in 9th grade, if I'm correct. And he came over and he was like, yo, man, like, where have you been? Like, are you okay? And I told him about what was going on, and I said, man, I'm not going to school, bro. I don't want to do that. And he was like, okay, well, I'm going to help you get out of this. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go tell my mama that I ain't going to school either. and I'm going to come over here and kick it with you until you get out of this funk.
How did his mama respond to that? Was she cool with that?
She loved me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Cool.
Curtis's mom, loved me. So she understood, I guess. Or for all we know, Curtis may have never told me.
Right. Very likely that he never said anything. Maybe. Except, bye, Mom. I'll see you after school.
Right. So he kicked it with me for like 3 or 4 days in my apartment.
That's pretty tight.
My dad showed up and gave us like a $20 bill every day so that we could get what we needed to survive for the day. And, we just chilled and like drank Mountain Dews and had Reese's peanut butter cups and just junk food and played Xbox 360, Minecraft and Black Ops 2 and stuff.
Did it work?
He was trying to help get me out of this funk, but the Minecraft didn't work. The Black Ops didn't work. The Reese's didn't work. The Mountain Dew didn't work. But then one moment came where he put an instrumental on.
Okay.
And he was like, I'm about to spit a freestyle. And I was like, oh, okay, go for it. And it was Drake, The Motto. And, a lot of people may not know that beat, but,
okay.
Right. Just that little loop, right?
Yeah.
And he started freestyling, and he spit a little like 8 bars or something. Then he looks at me and he goes, "You try it." And I'll never forget. I said, "I can't rap." he was just like, "You try it." And I spit like 1 bar, like 2 rhymes. I spit like 2 rhymes, and he gassed me up. He was like, "Oh!" Like, dude, like, that was nice, man. And
really,
because he was trying to make me feel better about myself.
He's a good friend.
I was in a really tough spot mentally and emotionally, and so. After that moment, though, I don't know if it was him gassing me up or whatever, but I felt like, hey, maybe I might actually have something with this.
Something lit up inside. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Something that had never been there before. It became alive.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I remember how much I've always loved hip hop. I remember listening to Raekwon when I was 4. Right. My mom would be playing, everybody in the club get this. And I'd be in the crib 4 years old. 1, 2 to the 2 to the 3 to the 4. I've always loved hip hop, and my mom loved hip hop too. She knows all the words to my Posse's on Broadway. She's in her 50s, bless her heart. She can still spit Posse on Broadway to you right now. Me and Kid Sensation, the Home Away from Home, and the Black Benz limo with, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, my mom kind of brought hip hop into my life, into my childhood.
Okay.
I always liked it. I loved the kicks and the drums and the snares, and I just loved the way that it made me feel like I want to get up and move.
Right.
Like it had an undulation to it. And so I just thought back, like after that moment with Curtis, to how hip hop has really kind of always been in my life. And I was like, I remember falling in love with Kanye West in 2007, 2008 when he dropped, Heartless and, 808s and Heartbreak. And I fell in love with Lil Wayne and T-Pain and Drake and like all these artists that were popping around the summer of 07, summer of 08.
Right.
I was 9, 10, 11. I loved their music. I would download it on my flip phone and be playing it while I walked down the street. He
said download it on his flip phone.
Yeah. An LG T2918.
I didn't know you were that old, man. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm 27 now.
Okay. How much?
Huh?
What'd you say?
27.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
27. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
So, long story short, I just kind of realized, like, hold on, this might actually be a moment in my life where I'm realizing something. I've always loved hip hop. Why don't I try to make some?
Pull that mic in a little bit.
So, yeah. So, anyways, I told Curtis, I said, I think he really helped me. And I said, I'm good. I'll be at school tomorrow. And he was like, okay, cool. And he walked out my front door. And, man, I just had this fire in my heart to start writing lyrics.
That's cool.
So I grabbed a notebook from school and just started writing. I wrote a 16, wrapped it back to myself. I was like, I could do better than that. And I ripped it out, crumbled it up, threw it in the trash. Like, forget that one. Let's try another one. Yeah. I want to do better than that, because I can do better than that. So I wrote another one, wrapped it back to myself. Same thing, crumpled it up.
Crumbled it up.
Away. And I went through, I did 3, I think. And by the time I got to that third 16 that I wrote, I was like, yeah, I think I do have a gift with this.
Okay.
Because I was coming up with stuff that was, high level, on my third time.
Man, I don't think I know. I mean, as soon as you sent me that first list of songs, I was like, man, this dude is talented right here.
Yeah.
So we're going to bump out. I'm going to bump out to this music that you're hearing in the background right now with the youth group. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about when the transition took place that Ben kind of switched over from the love of secular hip hop over to the love of Christian hip hop.
Amen.
We'll be back in just a minute. All right, this is Pastor David Harrelson. I'm back for part 3 with Mr. Ben Sommers, and I said when we bumped out that we were gonna ask him what point and what kind of triggered the transition from the love of secular rap over into the love of Christian rap. So what kind of brought that about?
Well, it was a very life-changing moment in my life where I was hanging out with my ex-girlfriend. I was 18, almost 19 at that time, and one of the videos, that was shot of me when I was 16, it went viral, and so that was kind of throwing my life for a bit of a loop at the same time. And
like a music video that went viral?
Yeah, I was rapping in my high school cafeteria back at Nathan Hale.
Okay.
May of 2015, and it was the last day of school, and it went viral and stuff. So that ended up turning into me soul searching, really. I was trying to figure out who I was.
Right.
I always had a feeling that something like that was going to happen, but I didn't know when it was going to happen. And when it happened, it was unexpected.
So was this like an intentional shoot, or just somebody held up a cell phone?
Somebody held up a cell phone
and posted it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and it went crazy viral. And
wow.
A lot of people thought that I was going to be the next big thing to come out of Oklahoma or whatever, and I felt kind of like that weight on my shoulders, and I don't feel like I was ready for it.
Okay.
And so I started soul searching and trying to figure out who I really was, and I had a lot of ideas that were incorrect at that time. I associated, because of the music that I was listening to at that time, I associated masculinity with having a fine woman by your side. That's what validates how much of a man you are.
Yeah.
So I started seeking validation, trying to find a pretty woman that I could, stroll around with me, and then I'd feel all big and bad.
Some arm candy.
Yep. Right. Well, I was 17. Can you blame me?
Sure,
and I was raised in a pretty confusing situation. Yeah. So, I wasn't really equipped at 17. Yeah. And so the transition came whenever God spoke to me directly. I was 18 years old, and my girlfriend at the time, she asked me if I would be open-minded to something. And I was about to walk out the door to go grab a Black & Mild down at the convenience store. And she said, would you be open-minded about something? And I just thought we were just having a normal conversation. I turned around and I said, yeah, like, what's up? And she said, the 11 commandments. And
the 11.
The 11.
Okay.
And so I thought about it, and I didn't say a word. I just thought about it. My eyebrows furrowed, and I was kind of like, 11? Like, this is going on in my head now.
Right.
And I was like, 11? I was like, I don't know about no 11. I know about 10.
Right.
And I was like, where would an extra commandment come from? And then I realized, oh, good Lord, this woman's about to ask me to be open-minded to Satanism, isn't she? Because the only reason why there would be 11 is if the enemy was jealous of God and in some nanny poo-poo kind of way wanted to feel superior by having an extra commandment.
Right.
And I came to that realization in a matter of moments. You know, I kind of thought, 11? No, there's 10. Where would 11 come from? Oh, the devil will be jealous of God. That's where 11 will come from. Is this woman asking me about Satan?
I got to say, that's a pretty quick analysis. Right?
Yeah. So I looked up at her, and I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, well, let me just read one of them to you and see what you think of it. Let me just bounce this satanic commandment off of your brain and see what you think of it. And it was, I believe, the 4th commandment, which quintessentially condones cheating, quintessentially condones infidelity and infidelity. Okay. And it said something along the lines of, if you see someone else that you desire more than who you have with you, then you're more than welcome to discard that individual and go and entertain this other individual that you desire more. Because the quintessential mantra of Satanism is do what thou wilt. Do what you want.
I would imagine, having never seen the 11 commandments of Satan, I would imagine that every one would be the antithesis.
Yeah. Of
the actual 10 commandments.
Yeah.
Plus one.
Yeah. And I don't know what that one is, but she read the 4th
Didn't get that far.
No, she read the 4th one. She read the 4th one. And I was about to respond. I was about to say, so you're telling me that cheating is cool? That's what I was about to say. But before I could even say that, God got my tongue. Like, it wasn't cat got my tongue. It was God got my tongue. And he told, and like everything seemed to slow down and stop. And I felt this incredible moment where God spoke to me. Before I could even speak, he like arrested me in my flesh, my mind, me.
Just shut it down.
He arrested me.
Yeah.
And he spoke to me and he said, son, I love you far too much not to intervene at this moment in time. He said, I'd like to give you some clarity as to what's going on around you right now. He said, this woman was placed into your life by the enemy to distract you from the calling that I've placed on your life. He said, however, with that being said, I have given you free will.
Free will. I knew that was coming. Yeah.
And so if you would like to go down this path, you're more than welcome to. However, you know exactly where it leads.
Right.
He didn't even have to say hell.
Yeah.
He didn't even have to say destruction.
Sure.
He just said, you know exactly where this road leads. And he said, I made you smarter than that. You know where this road goes. And then he departed from me. It was that quick, and that powerful. And when he departed from me, it felt as though my eyes of understanding had been enlightened to the truth. It almost felt as though a second set of eyelids opened. And I looked at her and I tried to speak. Still, I was speechless. She was looking at me like I was crazy. She was like, she started getting that eyebrow furrowed, the head shaking, like, what's wrong with you? And I still couldn't speak. And then suddenly I felt this fear.
Yeah.
Fear like I've never felt it before. Like I felt like I was in Sheol. I felt fear on a level that the word almost can't even describe. I was in a state of terror.
Despair.
I looked around and I realized, oh, God's not here. Right. He's not in this apartment.
It's almost like that saying, I was standing on the abyss or at the abyss and I looked in and I saw myself. That's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, when you know you're at the fork in the road and the next decision that you make could impact either positively or negatively the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's a scary moment right then.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know exactly what you're going to do. But I have a feeling I know what you did. So Go ahead.
I entertained it for 2 more weeks.
Ooh, okay. That was not what I thought.
No, I did. Okay. I did because I was 17.
She was a hottie.
I was caught up in my flesh. Yep. And I was like, yeah, even though God just told me that, I think I'm still going to see what's up for a couple more weeks.
Okay.
I did. That's the God honest truth, and I'm not going to fib. So, but yeah, we ended up breaking up 2 weeks after that day. And that sent me into like a long depression, man. It was really tough. But anyways, so yeah, God spoke to me, told me that. I came back to, and she was looking at me like I was crazy. And I was just like eyes kind of bulging out of my head, like fear. This fear was coming over me as I realized, like, how did I even get myself in this situation? Like I started recalling the faith of my youth.
Right.
I started recalling how much I loved the Lord when I was a child.
Yeah.
How in the world was it the divorce?
What road did I take in order to get here?
Yeah.
At this,
like, must have been the divorce. Must have been listening to my stepdad, abuse my mama every night for multiple years.
Sure.
Must have been, hopping out of the frying pan and into the fire with the divorce, and then who she picked after, was like frying, from the frying pan into the fire, right? And I had to deal with all of that in my formulative years. And so I felt like I never really had a chance to vent these things and talk about these things to anybody besides my sister Allison. Me and her, tight, man. So yeah, I just thought to myself, how did I get here? How did I get so lost, so led astray? How did I get here? I mean, honestly,
realization moment. Yep.
Yes. So I just looked around, and when I could finally speak again, I asked her. I said, "Is there a Bible in this house?" And oh my goodness, yeah, that ticked her off. She was like, she was just trying to talk to me about Satan. And here I am asking her if there's a Holy Bible in her apartment. And she smacks her lips and, no. And I just, I had this weird moment to her. It was confounding to her. It made no sense to her, but I'm like, God's not here. Like, he's not here at all. The only place he's here is in me right now, but I can't sense him outside of myself, anywhere but in these walls. And that was where the fear came from.
You probably wanted to run at that point.
Yes. Yeah, I did. And I just felt that fear, man. And that fear, I mean, I almost began to have visions of things being on fire and destruction.
Did the Lord start putting lyrics in your mind at that point?
Oh man, I mean, no, not yet.
Because at some point you made that conversion from secular.
Well, I had to get out of that depression. So I was 18, and I would say for the next 4 or 5 years, I was confused and depressed.
Okay.
Still trying to figure out who I am and who God is. And a really life-changing moment in my faith was when my grandmother Judy passed away. When she passed away, I went to her funeral, and I walked up to her casket, and I could really feel the Spirit of God. Confirming to me, that she's, in a better place in the Spirit, and that if there's anything that I should do, if I would like to have the grace and the humility and the love and the kindness that woman had, it would be to seek after the Lord. Like, I walked up to that casket, and I just thought about all the best parts of Judy.
Right.
All the best parts of her. And I just thought about how badly I want to be like that. For somebody. I want to be somebody's grandpa who their grandkid can call them anytime.
Right.
And be their confidant, be their, liaison between them and God when they're having a hard time connecting. That's what Grandma Judy was for me. And so when I walked up to her casket, and this was literally, I think 2 weeks after me and that girl broke up. So it was a breakup with my first love, and then my grandma passed 2 weeks after. And, I walked up to her casket, and I felt God telling me, you're strong. You're strong. And you're going to have to be strong for your family because your sister and your mom and your auntie are breaking down.
Yeah, they're going to need you.
They're going to need you.
Yeah.
And so I felt God's Spirit telling me that I'm going to have to be strong today, and to seek him. If I want to be like her, I need to be like Christ, because that's all that she was ever trying to do. And, it's not idolizing my grandmother.
Right.
It's understanding what made her who she was.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was Christ. And so after that, that's when I began to feel the Spirit move, was after my grandmother died, in terms of lyrics, Christian music, really okay, let's see what I can do with this Jesus guy. let's see what we can do together.
Right.
You know, what he can do through me.
So
what I can do through him.
Were there any Christian artists at that point or somewhere along that road that influenced you, that kind of you gravitated toward their style, or maybe, no, their beats or anything? Was everything just fresh and new?
No, this was between me and God, man. Like, right. God spoke to me and he told me, he said, I want you to use the mouth of the beast against the beast. And as soon as he said it to me, I knew exactly what he was saying. Right. He was saying, use the music industry against the devil. Because the devil is speaking through the music industry.
There's no doubt.
And so he said, use the mouth of the beast against the beast. Weaponize the very tool that he's using against him.
Amen.
And so I thought, okay, well, can you give me like a name for an album? And God told me, okay, go with God Loves Trap Music, because 2 Chainz at that time.
Did you say God Loves Trap Music?
God Loves Trap Music,
okay.
Right?
All right.
And so 2 Chainz had just dropped Pretty Girls Like Trap Music, and I thought, okay, let's take this and remix it in a godly way. You know, like,
right.
How can I get the spirit of God? Now, how can I take this and antithesis it?
Right.
So I turned Pretty Girls Like Trap Music into God Loves Trap Music.
Okay.
Because God loves any music that glorifies him.
Absolutely.
He don't just like it. He loves it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I called it God Loves Trap Music. And so I put on some trap beats and I started just brainstorming.
Yeah.
Like, okay, how can I get a nice little trap flow, but get the word in there?
Right.
So I came up with literally a hook that was just hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I realized, wait, this has still got some, this has got some groove to it, like the hallelujah. And I was like, wait, I can do this.
Yeah.
I never had to be this fool.
Yeah.
I never had to be this. Look at me. Look at how good I can rap. Look at how dope I am.
Right.
Like, how foolish was I? Like, I can still have all.
It's kind of it's kind of toolish.
Yeah.
It's foolish, but it's also toolish because it's like you're being used as a tool.
Just a pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the enemy's end game.
Right.
And so I just realized, like, I can still have the sauce. And this isn't fake sauce. This is the real deal sauce.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's the point of having chicken if you ain't got the sauce?
Life-changing sauce.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the living water.
Absolutely.
Getting the living water in the music, and I started realizing, whoa, like, I needed somebody like me when I was younger.
Yeah.
And
I think that's where a lot of inspiration comes from, is people realize, hey, if I would have had this, if I would have had this teaching, if I would have had this music, if I would have had this mentor, whatever it is, fill in the blank with whatever that is, then if God ever drops that thought in your mind, if I would have just had this blank, how much would you think that maybe that what goes in that blank is what he's trying to get you to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I would have had this music, light bulb.
Big C, when I was 14 years old, was one of the first impressions I ever got of a godly man. He used to come up to Memorial and pass out mixtapes and pray for kids during the lunchtime in the cafeteria.
Yep.
And, he was one of the first examples I've ever seen of just, Big C grinning.
Oh, yeah.
Ear to ear.
Hallelujah.
That smile is, can his smile go any wider?
No.
I don't think so. That man's smile stretches to its limits.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He's been that man since I met him.
Yeah.
He's been the same guy.
Yep.
And, that's something that
Facts. Yep.
Yeah. He punches the clock in the spirit every day. And I really appreciate him for that. And just some of the things that he, the prayers, the encouragement, the exhortation.
Yeah.
Just, hey, man, young man of God, you're going to be a warrior for the kingdom someday. Let me go back to the English. I'm going to go back to English real quick and probably take a nap on my hands because I've already got an A in this class. I think I'm going to take it. Anyway.
So what would you say to some of the youngsters out there that are right now where you were at that time? And maybe they're looking for same thing you were looking for. So what would you say to them? Maybe they're aspiring, but they don't really know what kind of gifts that they may possess.
That your gift will make room for you, and that if you don't try too hard to find out what your gift is, or gifts, if you have multiple, or just allow for your life to accept breaking points, accept low moments. Because I found my gift in one of the lowest moments that I've ever had in my mind. A moment where I felt like my mama didn't care about me as much as I thought. You know, that's one of the lowest moments that I've ever gotten into in my mind. And that's not the case at all. My mama's a human being, and she has the right to make mistakes and to not prioritize for a moment. You know, like, I'm not faulting her for that. In fact, if she wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that it's important to understand that, you know, we live in a culture where it's being pushed on you that all these people have found their gifts. Oh, this guy's a millionaire because he found out he was good with Bitcoin. This guy's a woo-woo. Like, look at all these people. And the spirit of comparison is robbing the youth of their joy. And one other thing, too, is the spirit of comparison between you and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy can
always trying to measure up to the latest Instagram post, you know, the latest TikTok post.
Well, not just that, but the accuser will go, hey, do you remember a few months ago you were more on fire? Mm-hmm. What happened?
Yeah.
Where did your zeal go?
Right.
You know, he has a way of pointing that finger when he's got three pointing back at him.
Sure, yeah.
And saying, hey, where did your zeal go? Back in 2019, you were on fire for the Lord. Mm-hmm. You were reading the word every morning, lunch and dinner. I mean, you were eating the word like it was square meals. What happened to you?
Yeah.
You know, so not only can the spirit of comparison be robbing you of your joy between you and others, but between you and yourself. Right. Because we go through seasons as individuals, and God just wants us to, you know, peak, you know, level out. Not all these, just consistency.
Right.
You know, not the mountains, not the peaks and valleys.
Sure.
So, yeah, I just wish that the youth would understand that, first of all, you may have multiple gifts. Mm-hmm. Second of all, your gift will make room for you and place you before great men. But if the question is, how do I figure out what my gift is? I kind of stumbled across mine. You know, like, I was just, like I told you, hanging out with a friend, and he asked me if I could spit a freestyle, and I told him I don't know how to rap. And
I think it's a lot of times what you don't have to force.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have to force, you know, what you're trying to do, like I tell my kids all the time, it's like turn your passion into your paycheck.
Yeah.
Whatever you're passionate about that doesn't feel like work, it just feels like playtime or hobby time or whatever, that's usually evidence of some kind of a gift.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, we're not meant to drudge every day of work.
Yes.
To hate every time we go in and try to earn $1. We're supposed to enjoy even the working aspects of our life.
Yeah.
So why would we ever waste our time doing something that we absolutely are miserable doing? It doesn't make any sense. You're just wasting time at that point. So I tell kids all the time, I'm like, turn your passion into your paycheck. Find something that if you really like to be in the kitchen cooking with mom, you know, baking cookies or whatever, maybe you're supposed to own a bakery. You know, maybe you're supposed to apprentice underneath somebody that owns a bakery for a while until you get up on your feet. You know, if you really like mowing lawns, maybe you're supposed to have Tulsa's best lawn cutting service. You know, I mean, you don't have to limit yourself to the lowest level of whatever that profession is, because God can carry you to the highest, the mountain tips, the mountain peaks. But it's rare that he's going to clear the path and open the doors for you to end up doing something that you're miserable at.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make any sense to me.
That sounds like the next thing I was about to say sounded very similar to what you just said. You know, I was talking to Dwayne, and I was like, look, man, what is that one thing that when you're doing it, you almost seem to lose track of time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You don't even realize it's been hours and hours and hours and you've been doing this. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, the thing about this generation, this new generation, and mine, I'd include in it as well, is the digital age is causing more artists to rise, more thinkers than industrious.
Well, they don't have to,
you know,
they don't have to spend their time in the infrastructure as much as they do the art, because now the infrastructure is brought to you literally in the form of a phone, an iPad, online editors, whatever, all those things that you'd have to pay big money and hire somebody, you know, spend a lot of time in order to get to that level, that quality level. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You can produce. You told me several of the tracks that you sent me, you produced in your apartment.
Yeah.
With just a handful of devices, maybe just one or two, So having resources like that at their fingertips, I would think would allow them to focus more on the actual art form, the content, the lyrical value, the meaning behind the words and all that, because you don't have to think so much about, well, I got to have 7 hours in the studio next month, so I got to go work for 3 weeks to earn the money to do that. I don't think you have to do that anymore in order to produce good content.
Yeah. What I'm trying to imply, though, is that it almost seems like being industrious is becoming a lost art. Like, my papa was a man that there wasn't an artistic thought in that guy's head, except for when he did go play the steel guitar sometimes.
Okay.
He'd love to sometimes go from Papa John to musician.
Musician John.
But besides that, he was a very industrious man. He used his hands. His whole life revolved around the work of his hands. And, I just think that is becoming like a lost art because of how easy it is to get your opinion out there. And like people start allowing their whole existence to revolve around their opinions because there's a platform where multiple people can hear it. 100 years ago, if you wanted a group of people to hear your opinion, you had to go get a pulpit, or you had to go organize
on a tree stump
gathering. You had to organize a gathering of human beings. You couldn't just click a button on a device and have your opinion filtered out to the world.
Right.
So, I think that people are placing too much weight on their own opinions nowadays because of that. Yeah. Now everybody's just like, oh, well, everybody can hear what I have to say in a moment's notice. So here it is. And I feel like more people need to stop and think before they speak nowadays.
That's
for
true.
Sure. Because, since it's so easy, it also reduces the amount of time that we actually think about what we're saying.
That's true.
And,
so you got to be careful what content you consume.
But, I would highly suggest for a young man to find a trade. You're 17, 18, maybe not 17 because of liability. You probably can't go work in construction or whatever. I don't know, unless you find an under-the-table company that'll just be like, yeah, sure, here's the check.
A lot of companies will take 16-year-olds as interns, the parents sign a waiver. You can start earning an income at 16.
Yeah, it's just the thing is like God allowed me to realize what my gift was when I was 14, which is... some people find out what their muse or their gift is younger than that.
That's true. I have a son that knew he wanted to be a pilot, man, when he was about 10 or 11.
Right.
He knew, and he pursued it, and he is a pilot.
And that's a gift from God.
Yep.
Not just the gift itself, but the gift that he knew it so early.
True.
That's another gift.
Yep.
And so 14, I feel like is pretty early for someone to figure out their gift.
It is.
So I think that young individuals need to give themselves grace and space to grow and understand that they may not know what it is yet, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with not knowing what God has made you to do. That's okay. You're going to know, though. One day it's going to click.
Yeah, the light bulb's going to come on.
Sense.
Yep.
For me, I was 14, but there are some people who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s plus
before they know
that have still not figured out what God has made them to do.
Yeah, that's
true. So just be patient and understand that it will reveal itself.
And ask God to reveal it to you.
Yeah,
I think you would have to do that. He says, write the vision, make it clear. And I think you have not because you ask not.
Well,
a lot of times people they just don't ask. They go, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Okay, well, have you really seriously sat down and asked God to reveal to you exactly what his destiny for you is? Have you really opened yourself up to what if it's not something you've thought about before? What if it's something brand new? Are you really ready to receive whatever it is that God has in store for you? Because if you're not, he's probably not going to reveal it. But if you are, then he may be ready to reveal it. You just haven't asked yet. That could be the situation.
Well, to be completely honest here, I'm just going to throw a thought out there. For all I know, regardless of how proficient I am at rapping or singing, that may not have been what God made me.
It's possible that it's not.
Maybe he made me to preach or teach or reach or speak, because of how fluent of a speaker I am. Maybe he made me to speak his word.
Could be.
Maybe, so I'm making sure that I don't make my identity my gift.
Right.
Like my identity is I'm a son of God.
That's absolutely correct.
before the foundations of the world, God had me in mind. Mm-hmm. That's my identity.
Right.
So what I'd like to say is just like, don't identify with what you're good at.
Right.
Identify with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Like I identify.
That's wisdom.
Identify with Christ, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting at this table right now.
Amen.
And, so 17-year-old me identified with the gift more than anything. It was, hey, let me rap for you right now.
Right.
Let me spit something for you. Let me show you how dope I am.
Yeah.
I was so egotistical, so full of myself. And
we all were at some point, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I just say, like, rapping and singing is awesome, and it's a powerful tool that God has given me to spread his word.
Right.
But it's not who I am. Yeah, I'm not Ben Sommers, the rapper.
Yeah.
I'm just Ben Sommers.
That's cool, man.
You know what I'm saying?
What a great way to wrap up this podcast, man. I tell you what, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure to have you in studio. Appreciate it very much. If there's anything else, do you have any way that people can reach out to you, contact you, maybe see anything that you posted that you want to share at this point, or would you rather wait on that? That's up to you.
I'm dropping most of my work on Facebook right now because I'm trying to get my socials figured out.
Okay.
I've had multiple YouTubes and lost the passwords for them. From losing so many cell phones from my addiction, just being foolish. And losing cell phones that had saved passwords on them that I had forgotten by that time. And so I ended up, I don't have a YouTube right now.
We'll just say stay tuned then. We'll say stay tuned, and we'll do this again, and maybe in the future there's something you'll want to direct people to, maybe not, but either way, he's going to be using your gifts and talents for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and bump us out of here. It's been real. This is Pastor David. Stay tuned. We'll be putting up some more content very soon, especially as it relates to the Champion Prayer Partner. So we'll be talking to you next week.